Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman, and you're listening to the Bob Culture Podcast with your host, Rob Crother.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show veteran indie promoter and founder of the new Retro Championship Wrestling promotion. Now that's debuting this April, and now he's known for his infamous 80s wrestling cons here in New Jersey, which everyone just raves about. Such good feedback. I finally got to get to one. And now we have 80s Wrestling Con 3 returning to Iplay America in Freehold, New Jersey on April 18th. Guys, please welcome to the show, Mr. Tommy Fierro. Tommy, thanks for a few minutes. How are you, bro?
Hey, what's going on, man? It's always so weird when you say veteran promoter, because I mean I've been doing it since 1993 on and off. So when I first did it, I was 16 years old, and back then it was like I was like a little fish in a sea of sharks. All the promoters back then, but now I mean fast forward, to 2020. I mean I'm still only 42 years old, but I guess there's a lot of independent promoters in this New Jersey area, but I've been around by far the longest at this point, so it's weird to hear that, because I've never been used to being called that. But looking at you live in New Jersey, so looking at the retrospect of everything and seeing everyone that's promoting and doing conventions or shows or whatnot, I guess I would be considered the senior veteran promoter. 2020.
And you get that veteran term, but you're still going strong. You're not here putting guys over. You're here running strong. You still got a lot of stuff coming up. We're really excited, and I've heard a lot of good things about some of the indie stuff you did in the past. But I wanted to ask you, how did you get your start in this business? And first and foremost, were you like a fan as a kid? Like, how did this all start for you?
Oh man, I was a super fan when I was a kid. When it was one Saturday morning, I was sitting on my grandparents' living room floor, and my grandfather was watching WWF, and when he had it on, as soon as my head looked up and saw the TV, man, I was hooked instantly.
Nice.
It was in 1985. It was the fall of '85, which really sucked because I just missed the first WrestleMania. So I wish I would have slept over in like February or March and could have caught the first Mania, but it was the fall of '85 where I first locked eyes with it and fell in love with it instantly. And from there on, I just became the biggest fan. All the the LGN figures, the magazine, the posters, the T-shirts.
Nice.
Back then, house shows were monthly. They didn't come to the state twice a year like they do now. I mean, back then when it was the Brendan Byrne Arena, the Meadowlands Arena, they used to be there every month. So I mean, I would never ever miss a show. My parents, they were so good to me. They would take me every month to see the shows. So I mean, I was instantly hooked as a kid. So growing up, I was always the biggest fan, and I was a freshman in high school, and I overheard two kids in class talking about a local wrestling radio show that was beyond that night.
Okay.
Dude, man, instantly my ears connected to this conversation. And I'm sure you're a big wrestling fan, so I'm sure that you're the same way. Like, when you hear wrestling, if you hear strangers on wrestling, you just automatically glued to their conversation. You just feel like you're part of them,
Yep.
So they told me about the radio show that was on later that night, and I went home, and it was 88.7 WPSC. It was a local William Patterson College radio station in Wayne, New Jersey, where I currently live. And the show was called Who's Slamming Who, which is funny because 20 years later I would do my own Who's Slamming Who radio show as well. But it was through that radio show I learned about the inner workings of the wrestling business. And at that time, it was I think it was 1992 or 93 at the time. I mean, it was unheard of really at that point, being a fan, knowing what could happen prior to when it did. Dave Meltzer's Observer newsletter was out and Wade Keller's Pro Wrestling Torch was out. But other than those two Sheets were the Observer and the Torch. They weren't wrestling websites. They called Dirt Sheets. So there was no website back then, no internet.
Yeah.
So to find out what's going to happen before it did back then, I mean, it was like I was like a kid on Christmas morning, man, getting all this dirt and information, you know. So it was through this radio show, and by the way, there was a contest to win special guest co-host for a week on there, and I entered it, and I won the contest.
Oh, so, no way.
Yeah, man, it was cool. So, and what's cool is that the guy that did the radio show, his gimmick name on the radio show, and he was independent wrestling manager too. His name was Radical Rick Rocker. He's actually friends with me to this day. So I always credit him for me getting involved with the wrestling business, because if it wasn't for his radio show, there's no way possible I would have found the way into it. So I always credit him, and it was cool because I actually got to thank him a bunch of times by, you know, when WWE's in the arena, I took him with me, or last year WrestleMania was in New Jersey, I brought him with me. So, I mean, I repaid the favor back tenfold with him, but it's cool because he still, you know, he still works staff for my 80s con and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
But through this radio show is where I found out about newsletters and stuff like that. And I started writing my own newsletter when I was just like 15 years old, called the Ringside Wrestling Newsletter. And I didn't have many subscribers, maybe like 20 or 30 or so, but I started going to local independent shows and, you know, getting telephone numbers, interviewing guys and stuff like that. And just, you know, one thing led to another, and I just lucked out, and somebody somehow got involved with it.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, it sounds like it really, you know, took off. You know, right now I'm kind of doing the same thing, getting those interviews and, you know, working with promoters, man. And it's been such a positive experience, such a great community. But I wanted to ask you, you know, aside from the business stuff, you said you watch, I think you said at your grandparents' house when you were a kid. Who were your guys? Like, who were your favorites?
Oh man, I was a huge Hulkamaniac growing up.
Yes,
he was my guy, and Ultimate Warrior and Macho Man, and it's hard to pinpoint just one. I would say those three definitely: Warrior, Hogan, Macho Man, all the iconic '80s guys, man. Jake the Snake Roberts, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, the British Bulldogs were my favorite team as a kid. I remember as a kid, WrestleMania 2, my parents took me to see it on closed circuit. Back then, they had closed circuit stuff. So I went to William Patterson College and actually saw WrestleMania 2, 3, 4, and 5 on closed circuit TV. I remember when the Bulldogs won the tag titles with Beefcake and Valentine in WrestleMania 2. I cried as a kid. I was so happy.
Oh, so, yeah.
I mean, all those iconic guys back then, man. It's probably same like everyone else growing up, you know. I did watch NWA, but it wasn't like, it didn't gel with me like WWF did. I was always a WWF guy, you know.
I got you, man. And you're into a lot of the retro stuff. Do you still watch like the current product?
You know, I'll be honest with you. I keep up with it more through the internet than I do watching it. Like I'll catch segments here and there.
Yeah, it's tough. There's a lot.
I haven't sat down and watched a 2-hour Raw, 3-hour Raw, or 2-hour SmackDown. I can't tell you how many years. I try and catch the pay-per-views when I can. Definitely the big ones like Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, all that. But I follow it every day through the internet. You know, just keeping up to date on everything. But you know, I catch bits and pieces. It's not what it used to be. Like this past Monday night, I watched it.
Yeah.
And all the endings with Seth Rollins and Aaron, and it just has like the same shit every week. You know, it's like they had to do something, man. It doesn't hold my attention. I'd rather much turn on WWE Network and watch an old WrestleMania 2 than watch what's currently on TV.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying, man. And the reason I ask, and you're not wrong at all. You know, you mentioned like you kind of teared up, you know, when they won the titles. You know, I can't think of a moment too much like that. You know, like maybe Kofi winning last year. That was a nice moment. Nice to be there. That was a good one. Gargano winning the NXT title. That was a little bit of a tearjerker right there because he's the heart and soul of that brand. But I get it, man. It's such like a special thing to be a part of as a fan. You know, it's definitely not like it used to be, but you still have those moments. And I just love the fans, and like you said, your ears perked up when you heard people talking about wrestling. It's just such a good like community, and you have so much going on with this wrestling community. Tell us a little bit about these 80s cons and how these started, man. I haven't been to one yet. because I always work on Saturday, so I got to make sure I make it to this one. But I mean, you've had the $1 Million Man. You've had just like the lineups have been incredible. I've heard nothing but great things. At my kind of second home, Iplay. I love it over there. Tell us how this all started, and tell us a little bit about 80s Wrestling Con Part 3.
Sure. Well, I was, like you said earlier, I was running independent shows back in the day as well.
Right.
Under the name ISPW, was Independent Superstars of Pro Wrestling. I did conventions and shows going till 2010, and after that, I a long time. I didn't promote my next event till last year, which was the return of the 80s Con, which was 2019. So 9 years I hadn't run a show, but I still, I still wanted to somehow feel like I was connected or involved with the wrestling business because I just love it so much. So just for fun, I started doing a social media account called 80s Wrestling on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, just for fun. I post pictures of various different 80s guys, or photos, or memories, or moments, and just to somehow feel like I'm still doing something, even though I'm not promoting anymore. And it got to the point where it blew up, man. It's like right now, I have 128,000 followers on Instagram. I have 100,000 on Facebook. And I have like 58,000 on Twitter. And I mean, tons of guys follow the various accounts, including Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Randy Orton. I mean, Ronda Rousey, Edge, JayCrow, tons of different guys follow these accounts.
Nice.
So it got to the point where I'm like, if I didn't do something to take advantage of this, following I have, I'd be stupid.
Sure.
So
sure.
A green light went off in my head. 80s wrestling convention. I already have the online following. So I thought of that, and I did the first one. It was last April, and it was only supposed to be a one-time thing. I didn't have no goal of getting back involved with wrestling, promoting shows. This was supposed to be a one-time event, and it went really good.
So I hear.
After the first one, I'm like, well, I'd be stupid if I didn't do a second one. And, that last October was the second one. And that went really good. So now I'm saying, well, I'd be stupid if I didn't do a third one. Yeah. Which leads to April the 18th. Now, I mean, I use so many. The thing with 80s guys is, unfortunately, a lot of them have passed on. And, I'm booking 20 guys at a clip. So you got to do the math to figure that sooner or later, it's going to run out.
Right.
So for this third one, I was thinking to myself, well, what can I do? Because I already used so many big names, 80 names the first two times, I'm like, what can I do this time just to make it unique and different? So then I was like, well, let me get some of the big names locked in that I haven't used yet, like Honky Tonk Man, and Zeus is going to be there, Lex Luger, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. But I'm like, let's mix it up this time, and let's get guys that no one really ever gets to see in this area to really make it unique and mix it in with these other guys. So the first guy I thought of, and I knew that he hasn't been around in a really long time, and he was pretty hard to track down, and I was able to, was the Haiti Kid, who was...
I saw that, yeah.
80s midget wrestler that was in WrestleMania 2 and WrestleMania 3. He's going to be there. This is his first appearance in many years. I've had several promoters already, send me messages asking for his contact information because they want to use him in their stuff. I said, hey, man, listen, I'm not giving this information out to anyone until after April 18th because I don't want anyone to use them, and I don't want anyone to book him for anything previous or prior to me without him appearing on my show first. So in this day and age, in 2020, it's really hard for a convention because there's so many of them to have a unique guest, and I found one, so I'm really looking forward to having him at 80s Wrestling Con 3 on April 18th. And then I started thinking, well, who else can I bring in that's unique and different that's really not up this way in New Jersey very much? Ted Arcidi was an 80s guy that hasn't been up this way in a long, long time. Yeah. Dr. D. David Schultz. Mike McGirt, the old 80s woman ring announcer. Sean Mooney. And then mixed in guys like Larry Sabisco and Sam Houston, who's never up this way really. And, Tony Gurria. And just trying to make it as unique and different as possible. And then if you haven't been the one, so you haven't, we have I play at the big stage too, so we do stage shows as well throughout the day at the 80s Con. So we're having Honky Tonk Man perform Cool, Cocky, and Bad live.
Yes, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. In this day and age, a really popular part of wrestling conventions are the fans are bringing the WWE encyclopedias to get signed. I see a lot of fans bringing these encyclopedias at the event. So I thought it would be a cool idea. Well, let's get the backstory on the WWE encyclopedia. So Brian Shields, who was the guy that started it, is going to do a Q&A talking about the process it took to create this. So that should be really cool, unique, and different. I'm looking forward to that. And all the events we're going to do, which this one's going to be really cool, is 80s Wrestling Family Feud, where it's going to be Team Dutch Mantel and Team Teddy Long. And they're going to have 5 wrestling fans on each side and do an 80s Wrestling Family Feud. So stuff like that really, makes it an experience. So
yeah,
convention, people are just like autographs, taking pictures. This is not a convention. I don't like calling this a convention. I like calling it an experience. Because stuff like that, and I'm doing like a Sam Houston's doing a Texas 1-2-step dance contest. We're having 80s wrestling cosplay there dress up. We did it for the last one. It was a Halloween costume contest, and it was really, really good. A lot of people really enjoyed it, so we're bringing that back.
Nice.
We're having a couple of Q&As. Mario Mancini, who was a famous 80s WWF jobber that wrestles practically everyone in the company, he's going to talk about his experiences working with all the biggest names in the 80s, making stars. And then one that I'm probably looking most forward to was the originator of the pro wrestling conventions, and the guy that, I pretty much stole the idea from. I always tell him that, but he's proud of the job I've done with it since then, is John Arezzi. He's going to do a tell-all story of the creation of wrestling conventions, which was called Weekend of Champions. So,
wow, we're
doing all that and some other stuff I have on my sleeve too. So, yeah, man, it's going to be really cool. It's more of an experience than a convention. So, if you haven't been to one yet, I strongly suggest coming out April 18th. Iplay America, Freehold, New Jersey. If you're a wrestling fan, you're going to be like a kid on Christmas morning there, I promise you. There's tons of tables, people selling all kinds of wrestling merchandise. It's just a really cool deal.
Yeah, and I've heard nothing but good things, and you've more than sold me on it. I love that extra mile kind of stuff, the costume contest, the history beside, about the encyclopedia, all that stuff. That gets me amped. The kids will love it too. And it's one of those things, like we talk about the community, you see a couple indie wrestlers kind of hanging out. You see people who have these podcasts hanging out. I think Enzo kind of popped in at the last one. So you never know, man. I'm sure you got some more surprises up your sleeve. I can't wait, bro.
I can promise you I do.
Yeah, I know. I can't wait.
I can't put all my cards on the table.
Yep. I know. I understand, man. But let's moving forward. Let's talk about you love the retro stuff. We got the 80s Con. Let's talk a little bit about this retro championship wrestling kind of federation. How did this all start, man? You got the conventions going. Now you're just like you have this whole new promotion. And, I know a lot of the guys on the roster, man. Like, how did this all, happen?
Wow, as you can tell, I don't like to sleep, so the more stuff I can add on my plate, the better,
Yep.
Well, I said I used to do wrestling shows in the past, ISPW back in the 90s. And now that I'm back involved doing 80s Wrestling Con, once it's in your blood, man, that's it. It's always going to be in your blood. And now that I'm doing these, I'm having fun doing them. It's only you only do twice a year. The work that goes behind these things. Like I'm already going crazy, and it's like a month and 3 weeks away. I'm just it's already going nuts. So there's so much work and details that go into this, is that you can only do twice a year, and that's stretching it. Especially, I'm a one-man show, man. I do all this stuff. I do every detail myself, and it's a ton of work.
Wow.
If I have 20 guys coming in, you have to worry about 20 airfares, 20 hotels, 20 cars to pick the guys up at the airport, 20, cars to bring the guys from the airport back to the hotel, pick up at the hotel to Iplay, pick up again from Iplay to the airport again. So you do 20 guys, man. that there enough, the travel details involved is enough to just make you want to take your head and banging up against the wall about 13,000 times. So
yeah.
I go do like twice a year on that, man. But anyhow, I got the itch again to want to start promoting again, and I didn't want to wait every 6 months to do it. And I wanted to capitalize off of the popularity I'm creating with the 80s Wrestling Con brand. I didn't want to come back and do ISW. I wanted to kind of like have that be like a sister company part of 80s Wrestling Con is Retro Championship Wrestling. And I'm going to bring back everything that we loved as fans growing up in the 80s watching it. The talk show segments, like the Brother Love Show and Piper's Pit and stuff like that. We're going to have a talk show segment. We're back to old school 80s managers. We're going to be, bringing back all the different aspects of 80 wrestling that we fell in love with. And the first show back is going to be on April the 24th in Totowa, New Jersey at the Totowa PAL. And it's going to be called the Retro Rumble. And the main event is going to be a Retro Rumble match, which is a Royal Rumble style match. And the winner will be crowned the first Retro Championship Wrestling champion.
Which means there's a belt. Yeah.
My creative juices are flowing already, just trying to come up with different ideas to book a Royal Rumble style match. I want to say Royal Rumble and get sued. That's called it Retro Rumble.
Yeah,
but
gotcha.
that kind of match where you can just have so much creative things going on in there, and so many talented guys involved in it. So I'm already, in my head, spacing it out and piecing it out, and we'll have some surprises on that night as well. People that are, not advertised to be there will be in that match. So it will be the same concept as Royal Rumble. We have some surprises. There will be some surprises, and this as well from some independent guys that are pretty well familiar with that.
Yeah, man.
We'll be there as well.
It looks great, and just looking at some of the roster, I see Rhett Titus, longtime ROH guy, Donovan. Sean Donovan. We're gonna have him on in a couple of weeks. A really great up and comer. He was on Raw a couple of weeks against Andrade. Nikos Ricos. If you remember, It's Not My Fault. I think Snitsky's coming. It's gonna be awesome, man. And now we got to talk about, you have, I think the tap on the shoulder went to Tito Santana as the commissioner, if I'm correct?
Yeah, man. So, like I said, I wanted to make it as much as I possibly could involved with the 80s Wrestling Con brand. So, what better way to do that than by having a WWE Hall of Famer and a big part of 80s wrestling, Tito Santana, be the commissioner for the promotion. So, Tito will be the commissioner of the promotion, and he will debut there on April the 24th and help crown the first Retro Championship Wrestling champion. Another thing we have planned for that day as well is Sonny Beach, who was an 80s wrestler and did some WWF stuff as well. He's going to debut as a manager on this show. He promises the debut Pro Wrestling's hottest free prospect. So it'd be cool to have him as a manager as well, because he was an 80s wrestler. So like I said, bring back the old school 80s managers. There's going to be a talk show that night as well. Late night with Andy Weinberg, who is a manager down in the Maryland area. And he's freaking awesome. I as soon as I saw his stuff, I'm like, I want this guy. Anyone that's not familiar with him, look his stuff up. Andy Weinberg. Really, really good. So,
interesting.
I think Crowbar's going to be there. The return to Danny Inferno, who was a long-time independent wrestler in this area, who was a WWE developmental wrestler, will be on that show as well. Tons of other stuff, man. It's cool.
That's great. It's an interesting concept too, because you're talking retro. You want those kind of old school segments, but it's you're obviously not pulling all these guys from your conventions, to get back in the ring. It's cool. You got a lot of these indie guys. You got a lot of big names, current names as well. So I'm really interested to see how that kind of mixes all together, man. It's pretty fresh, something new. I think fans will definitely be drawn to it.
Like I said, it'll be presented 80s style. So I know a lot of these guys are current on the independent shows, and they're doing great. They're going to be presented in a different way at these shows. So this is going to be ran like an old school 80s wrestling promotion. So anyone that are a fan of these guys, it'd be cool for them to see them in a different atmosphere,
Cool. Are they all for it? Like, when you're talking about this show, they're kind of talking about like embracing maybe these slightly different personas, I guess.
Oh yeah, man. Everyone's great.
That's
awesome.
Awesome.
Donovan, you just mentioned, he a couple weeks ago told me and I wasn't even aware of this, and I know he's doing great right now in the independent.
Oh, yeah.
In this area. He actually grew up coming to my shows. So he said this is like a bucket list. This is like checking something off his bucket list, wrestling for me, which is really cool because I had no idea that I was, someone that when he was growing up coming to my shows like that. So that's a really nice compliment. And it's stuff like that makes this fun and makes me looking forward to it.
That's full circle stuff right there, man. That's deep, man. That's awesome. Hey, where can everyone get tickets for this thing?
Tickets are actually available if you go to Totowa, PAL's website, so Totowa, TOTOWAPAL.com. You can follow the links there. Tickets are available on their website, and they're already moving good, so definitely head over and check it out. And for 80s Wrestling Con 3 tickets, you can go to 80swrestlingcon.com.
Awesome, man. Yeah, and the guys got to go to these things. I mean, this is going to be awesome. And just wanted to ask you real quick, Tommy. We talk about you being a promoter. You said you've worked with Sharks in the past. I'm sure you've had your ups and downs and all that kind of stuff. I've been a big part of the independent scene the past couple of years. I've worked with some amazing people. So all of my experiences for the most part have been very, very positive. Now that you're kind of, I wouldn't say getting back into the game, but now, you're starting this retro championship wrestling. What is kind of like, as a promoter, your philosophy or maybe some advice you can impart on some people who are starting to, get their feet wet in this business?
As far as a promoter or a wrestler?
Oh, let's go promoter.
I can give the same advice whether you're a promoter and or a wrestler.
Love it.
If you love the wrestling business and if something's telling you deep down inside your heart that you were meant to do this, and I know you have Indy guys that listen to this, so
yep.
This is definitely the best advice I could possibly give. If you believe in your heart that you are meant to do this, if you look in the mirror, and you have to be honest with yourself, you look in the mirror and you think that you're looking at someone that can do this full time for a living, but don't kid yourself either. Don't just. Yeah, you have to know it. You know it deep down in your heart. And whatever you say to people about you is one thing, but in your heart of hearts, you know if you have what it takes to do it. But if you believe that you do, by all means, chase it and chase it until you can't chase it anymore. But also have a backup. Don't rely on wrestling. Have a regular job. Have something to fall back on. But by all means, man. Don't let anyone tell you no. Don't let anyone say you can't do something, because if you want something bad enough, anyone's capable of doing anything. But just remember, you have to believe it in your heart that you can do it. And the main thing is just always have something to fall back on, man, because you can't rely or put all your eggs in one basket. Nah, it has nothing to do with wrestling, anything. You can't put all your eggs in one basket. But don't let any promoters not want to book you or other things, make you not want to do it. If you want to do something bad enough and you're motivated enough, anyone can do anything, man.
Wow, very well said, man. That was deep. Real talk right there. Hey, Tommy, thank you so much for a few minutes, man. And tell everyone where we can follow you on social media and all that good stuff.
80s Wrestling on Instagram, so it's 80S Wrestling. Twitter is 80S Wrestling _. And Facebook is 80s Wrestling. And then, again, the websites are 80s Wrestling Con and RetroChampionshipWrestling.com. And who knows, by next time I talk to you, I might have another wrestling project.
Oh.
More living hell.
Okay, yeah. You heard it here first, folks. All right, guys. And remember, 80s Wrestling Con 3, that's coming to my second home. We love Iplay America. That's going to be April 18th in Freehold, New Jersey. We also have Retro Championship Wrestling. That's going to be at the Totowa PAL on April 24th. Guys, get to the websites. Get the tickets. Tommy, thank you so much for a few minutes. Best of luck moving forward, man. We'll talk soon.
Appreciate it, man. Have a good day.
All right, man.